panorama actual de la reproducción bovina en Colombia.
The current scenario of bovine reproduction in Colombia has been generating an important growth in the last 5 years due to the boom of hormonal protocols of fixed-time artificial insemination for commercial cattle and the increase of assisted reproductive biotechnology programs such as the in vitro fertilization, embryo transfer for purebred cattle, either for milk or meat. So, we have seen how in recent years we have evolved significantly in the use of reproductive biotechnology, extensive livestock farming. Today, they are adopting reproduction systems that allow them to evolve and produce more liters of milk,
Mayor número de litros de leche y mayor número de kilos de carne.
and more kilos of meat, crossing breeds and being more efficient, grouping pregnancies, grouping calving according to the time of the year in order to increase productivity. To improve the genetic quality of a herd, we need to implement a reproduction program, and that needs to start with a reproduction plan.
¿Qué es un plan? Nosotros siempre hablamos con ganaderos.
We always talk to cattlemen to have ready what we want, where we are going to get it. It is not only to put a semen or choose a bull of the best quality, if we do not have a plan. So, we always recommend to know what we have at home in order to be able to implement a genetic improvement plan according to what we have.
Muchas oportunidades, muchos toros.
Today we have many opportunities, many proven bulls, many proven genetics, with which we can make a more accurate scaling and in each farm, in each cattle we have. In the transfer of bovine embryos obtained through the in vitro fertilization technique, it is a technique that is normally used to take advantage of the genetic potential of the donors, which are animals that zoo technically or for economic values of production, health, conformation. We want to reproduce them more in the farms. Normally and naturally, a bovine female can ovulate and become pregnant once a year, therefore giving us only one offspring per year. When we have these animals that have such a good value, our intention is to obtain oocytes by follicular aspiration. We take these oocytes to a laboratory. We do the in vitro fertilization. We place them in culture in the laboratory, and 7 days later, these embryos obtained from these donors, we take them to some recipient females that we have previously selected and synchronized in the field.
En cuanto a las ventajas,
As for the advantages over fixed-term artificial insemination, it is to reduce the interval between calvings and to obtain one calf per year, in which we will reduce the days open and we will have more productivity in our herds. Another important advantage is the training of our operators on the farm so that they can acquire the knowledge and develop the process in a successful way. The advantages and disadvantages of artificial insemination compared to natural mating is a very good question. I think the most important one when we are going to start a breeding plan. First of all, I have a very extensive experience in Brazil, and I'm always asked, Bruno, what is better, to keep bulls in my cows or to start an artificial insemination program? The answer is, you are ready to inseminate cows. You have people trained to inseminate cows. This, I answer them, is going to take as a way to decide. So, many times we don't have people, we don't have management, we don't have food for an insemination. We can prepare ourselves so that in 1 year or 2 years we can start. In terms of artificial insemination, the advantages are that we have a genetic year faster than with a bull because we have only one bull for all the cows, and with artificial insemination we can choose the best bulls. For example, 2 or 3 per mating season per year, so that we can maintain or change the profile of our cow according to what the market is looking for.
Están buscando un mercado interno.
Always looking for an international market, a market with more milk productivity or more meat productivity. So we have state bulls, but if we do not have management, we do not have a nutritional plan ready. Now we can prepare for the near future and begin to implement an insemination program.
Yo pienso que el logro más importante
I think that the most important achievement in the last few years in terms of reproduction has been that extensive cattle ranchers, let's say cattle ranchers with more than 1,000 commercial breeding females that are not dedicated to the sale of genetics, have incorporated in their production systems biotechnologies such as fixed-time insemination or mating stations with breeding bulls. I think that what this has done is to increase the offer of better quality cattle for fattening, and that allows us to have a much more favorable meat offer, taking advantage of the hybrid vigor that we have with the Indica or Zebu breeds, crossing them with European breeds such as Angus, Limousin, Charolais to increase cattle production. I think that this has been one of the most important achievements of our cattle raising. So, today we have animals that go to the markets, to the cattle auctions, groups of calves that are crossbred from Zebu breeds with European breeds, which are going to finish their fattening period much faster than purely Zebu or Indica cattle, and this improves the offer to the fattening cattle breeder and the improvement of meat, the offer of better quality meat to the national market. I consider that the main challenges facing bovine reproduction are to achieve an integral balance in the field management, in the cattle management, and the reproductive part is one thing.
Pero es un mundo. Tenemos dentro de la reproducción un balance que es.
But it is a world. We have within reproduction a balance of 4 fundamental pillars, which are genetics, nutrition, health, and management. These 4 pillars are fundamental and have to have a balance in any cattle operation. It is not only genetics, choosing a breed that we like, that is productive, but also health, nutrition, and management. In this aspect, I think that today the offer, and we are going to see it here in this space, there is a super wide genetic offer. We have practically all the breeds of the world present here in Colombia, and the most productive and most recognized breeds. But I think that the biggest challenge we are going to have in the years to come is in 2 fundamental pillars, herd health and nutrition. I'm going to start with health. Health is that as we increase the use of reproductive biotechnology, what we are going to do is that we are going to be confronted with the fact that we are going to have a greater use of semen, greater use of pure bulls, and this is going to require that we have a health balance. And it is no secret that for the veterinary profession, for the cattle breeding profession, reproductive diseases play an important role. So, the important thing when choosing a tool or an assisted biotechnology program is that we have to group and guarantee a first phase, and that is the choice of genetics, and then the sanitary plan. It is very important that the cows have a reproductive vaccine because this will protect that new gestation. It will protect that new calf to avoid losses in the last third of the gestation, or middle third, or first third of the gestation. So I get nothing out of having a good pregnancy rate if we are going to lose calves during the gestation stage. That is why one of the biggest challenges is the use of sanitary plans that are followed, that are continuous and that allow cattlemen to have a higher productivity. The third pillar, which is important, but the second, in my opinion, is key, is nutrition. Why? Because we cattle breeders are implementing genetics. We are implementing sanitary plans. But at the time of implementing those genetics, we are going to have animals that are capable of producing more kilos of meat and more liters of milk, and that have a challenge, that have a genetic potential to express those genes in their productivity. But for that, I have to guarantee genetics and nutrition. That is why nutrition today is fundamental in terms of the pasture that we offer to those cattle being of good quality, abundant and that allows that animal to express that genetic potential. Now we have there the issue of all the nutrition that the animals collect from the soil, but also the supplementation, either the mineral supplementation that we give through mineralized salts, and for which we also as veterinary industry are making and are offering to the market a product and a program of injectable micronutrition that allow the cattle to receive them in the moments of greater productive challenge.
Momentos de mayor desafío productivo, es decir, que ellos
That is to say, when they are facing a greater productive challenge, for example, a synchronization for IATF, the moment before, during and after calving, the moment of weaning, the moment of castration or dehorning, we can give them in those productive challenges where the animal is stressed. We can give them a shock that allows them to mitigate that impact of stress and that metabolic imbalance to continue producing. So, for me, those are the biggest challenges, health and nutrition, in the reproductive area. Because we have a greater offer of products aimed at reproduction
y profesionales que están trabajando de manera
and professionals that are working in a coordinated way with cattle breeders, we have good rates as they can have in Brazil or Argentina, talking about the Latin American market. The factors that influence the fertility of cattle, first point, nutritional. A cow has to have a very adequate nutritional plan. That is why we always start with a production plan. Production plans begin when we have a bull, we have a mount, and we are going to start artificial insemination at a fixed time. Our cattle are prepared, we have food, we have sanitation, because all this influences the fertility. To start with food, what we have available and what we have to improve so that these cows are prepared,
Estén prontas, ¿cierto? Estén listas.
are ready to start reproduction on a farm. The role that nutrition plays in the production of meat and milk is fundamental.
como yo les vengo diciendo, tenemos hoy
As I have been telling you, today we have a genetic component that has advanced a lot in many cattle ranches and in many regions of the country, and therefore, in order for those animals to express their genetic potential, they need adequate nutrition. Livestock farmers have also been increasing their knowledge and good management of pastures
manejo de las praderas para ofertar forraje de buena calidad, pastos de buena calidad,
to offer good quality forage, good quality pastures, and improved pastures also for those animals to express their genetic potential. But now, we all know that Colombia, being a tropical country, is a country that enjoys some privileges, but we still have a long way to go, and we have two distinct times of the year. Where we have a time of heavy rain and a dry season, many farmers have also increased the production of fodder conservation, either through silos, hay, haylage, and others that allow us to take advantage of the natural source of livestock,
es el forraje verde o el pasto como tal que produce,
which is green fodder or grass as such, produces the land in livestock. Then, that role has been playing a key role in production, and that genetic potential is expressed in the production of milk and meat.
producción de leche y carne. Claro, el concentrado está siendo
Of course, the concentrate is being widely used, especially in dairies. We know that it is a daily supplementation that is given for show animals. We are going to talk about meat today. The supplementation of meat animals is given more at the level of agricultural byproducts such as palm byproducts, rice byproducts, byproducts of industrial crops, which allow us to reduce production costs and increase the dry matter inputs so that the cattle are able to transform them and produce more kilos of meat in the shortest possible time.
La prevención de enfermedades reproductivas
The prevention of productive diseases is a very important issue, and every cattle farmer has to pay a lot of attention to it. Because we are going to invest a lot of money with genetic improvement, with training of people, with changes to prepare the farm, with a nutritional plan, and we cannot forget that a virus can exist in a cow and kill all this investment. So what do we have to do? First point, invite or hire a technician to do all epidemiological mapping of a farm and thus implement a vaccination plan. Many diseases do not have a treatment itself, nor a prevention plan. With vaccines, we close the doors of a farm. We close the animals to avoid being infected by any diseases in a farm. That is why it is important to vaccinate, to put immunity, and thus allow all cattle to perform, as we are achieving a more assertive reproduction plan.
Plan más asertivo de reproducción. El momento ótimo de la inseminación artificial.
The optimal timing of artificial insemination is, first point, to know what we have at home, which are the females that we are going to designate for reproduction. To monitor the herd, there are some females that are not apt to enter a reproductive program.
Reproductivo. Segundo punto, tener disponibilidad de comida.
Second point, to have availability of feed, because we cannot choose females that are with very low body score, because this will directly impact all the fertility, all the nutritional plan. We are going to invest in semen. We are going to invest in technical training. We are going to invest time and money, but these females are not ready. So if we are going to start, for example, a mating season, and we have to program a little earlier, about a month, if these females are ready, if these heifers are cyclic or acyclic, that is, they are not 100% ready to be chosen for the reproduction program. For that reason, there are many factors that we have to take into account until the insemination begins. Let's remember, first point, food. Second point, select the animals that are ready for the breeding program. And third point, invite or hire a specialized technical service to set up the breeding plan. A breeding plan has to have a short, medium, and long-term objective, so we can make a selection of what we have the best in our farm.
Lo que tenemos de mejor en nuestra finca y lo que tenemos que mejorar en nuestra finca con este programa.
And what we have to improve in our farm with this program. So, this is a plan that we always recommend for medium, short, and long-term objectives, and that is how we start a breeding plan. There is a key issue, which is cost, because many times a farmer does not enter a breeding program because of costs, fear of poor results, which is why I think it is important. An important aspect in the adoption or implementation of a reproduction program today in cattle breeding in Colombia, and one of the great unknowns for cattle breeders, is how much it is going to cost me. Who is going to do it for me? Today, we have an important offer of professionals all over the country. Let's say it, a great number of professionals that are dedicated to the reproduction part and to support that cattleman, to make that rural extension, to support the IATF programs, to support the seasonal mating programs. And that is fundamental, and one of the great myths or fears that a cattleman may have is the issue of how much is this going to cost me. So it is important today to tell the cattleman that the costs have been reducing significantly at the level of products and protocols that we offer the veterinary industry to cattlemen and veterinarians. And today we can say that to synchronize a cow so that she is ready and apt to receive an artificial insemination is about 40,000 pesos approximately. So it means that if I put a hormonal protocol that is costing me more or less 40,000 pesos, plus a straw that may be costing a similar amount, we are talking about 80,000 pesos to have an animal. We are talking about an investment of 100,000 pesos to have a genetically superior animal that is able to produce a greater number of kilos of meat. For this reason, it seems to me that today the cost of products, the cost of establishing a reproductive biotechnology program are very standardized, and it seems that they are very affordable for cattlemen, and that cattlemen who have not yet made the decision to implement a biotechnology program for synchronization of their cows to obtain a grouping of calvings and births and to have more homogeneous lots at the age level, at the genetic component level, is much more affordable. It is also to invite them to get advice in the right way, because a professional who advises us plays a fundamental role in this, and that is a person who has an important expertise, and that today we can have in our first IATF 50% of the synchronized cows, they are pregnant. This is an important number, and we will never achieve that with a bull, with the traditional system of not using hormones and not using synchronization programs, where calvings would be much more spaced out, where the supply of calves to the market will be affected by a productive cycle, etc. So it seems to me that today this is a challenge. It is an invitation to cattlemen who have not implemented biotechnology and fixed-time synchronization programs in their cows to think about it, to get advice and implement it, because it is really something that today is easy to do. It is within everybody's reach. It is a technology that is becoming popular at a great speed in Colombia, and it is an invitation to all of them to think and see that it is a way and a tool to improve the productivity of their cattle company. Well, a few years ago, embryo transfer biotechnology was an impossible technique because of prices and everything. Now there are many programs. The cost is more accessible. There are many governmental programs, but this technique nowadays reaches any producer from small to big producers. It is already very affordable. A cattle rancher who has 2 or 3 cows can buy a positive pregnancy with this type of breeding animals. So, I would think that the technique is no longer at those levels as it was a couple of years ago, but that at this moment it is reaching small and medium-sized producers. On the subject of small producers, there are many government programs that sponsor and give these pregnancies to small producers. They go to their own farms, even if they have 2 or 3 recipients. They are selected, synchronized, their embryos are placed, and there are several programs at this moment in the country that are working with this in vitro fertilization technique, using elite donors, the best bulls on the market for the production of the breed they want, and they are reaching these small producers without any problem. Nowadays, reproductive biotechnologies are already within everyone's reach. You can simply look for the right companies and laboratories to provide you with good advice, but it is a technique that is already available for everyone, from small producers, medium-sized producers, large producers, governmental issues for everyone. You can consult, you can ask. Colombia is a country that has advanced a lot in genetic improvement.